it was amazing to see the support. We have a capacity of 320 people in Bethlehem, and we had for the first 3 weeks before COVID, because we opened Valentine's Day, 2020, 3 weeks before the pandemic. We put our houses up for collateral, and everything, it was all in. But we were at capacity for like 3 weeks with a line out the door. And that's what really helped us, because we didn't get a bunch of like PPE loans and stuff like that because we weren't open long enough.
Welcome to YMI Talking, a podcast where the guests are so good, you'll wonder why the host is even talking. In each episode, you will hear one of the leaders of the Lehigh Valley's vibrant business hub. They will tell you the keys to their success, the mistakes they've made, and what they have in store for the future. Here is the host of YMI Talking, from YMI Insurance, Jimmy Honachik.
Yes, all right. I am so excited for this episode. This episode is, I love beer. I love beer so much. Who doesn't? And we have an expert here today. You know him, Josh Divers from Seven Sirens Brewing Company. He is the head brewer over there. He's a co-owner. I'm sure you know of this brewery. They are here. They have been doing incredible things in Lehigh Valley, and I couldn't say thank you enough for coming on here, Josh.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So talk to me about Seven Sirens. How do you guys get started?
So we were looking at a spot in Allentown when we first started, and that fell through. So we were on the journey to find another spot. We already had social media started, so it was a decision to start it again, or just bring everybody that's been following us on the journey to find a location, a home.
Yeah.
We worked with, a bunch of different people. We found our Bethlehem spot was a parking garage, 7,000 square foot. Felt right because we started in my one car garage. So we joke that
you really got an upgrade.
Yeah. Oh yeah. One car garage that you can't really fit a car into, to a 7,000 square foot parking garage.
Oh, wow.
It just felt right. And, we joke that we're like Apple and Ford, because they started in one car garages.
Yeah.
But we make beer. We don't make money.
I like your product more, so it works out well.
Yeah.
I go back to that then, the one car garage. Were you doing something before you decided, hey, I want to brew beer, or, how do you make that transition?
It was a big transition. I came from a family business, doing landscaping, running a fertilizing company. I was doing that with my family since I was 11. So early dismissal, days off, get your butt to work.
Yeah.
So that's, I can thank my dad for my hard work ethic. But I really just fell in love with beer even before I started brewing beer. I was just kind of like a brewery stalker, kind of like just, loving what Dogfish was doing and Sam Adams was doing. And like Dogfish was one of my big inspirations because they did wild stuff. They just did a lot of crazy stuff.
I lived in Delaware for 5 years, and so you have to love Dogfish. But it's so incredible what they've done.
Yeah. And he came from home brewing as well.
Okay.
The inspiration behind that, like it's so many different aspects that it was inspiration to start up a brewery after Dogfish, because he came from home brewing. I believe it was a 12-gallon system that he started with, and he started young.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a path to you don't have to be in the brewing industry to start a brewery.
Yeah.
You just have to have a passion for it. And that's I didn't have schooling beforehand. Like, I just obsessed about beer. Like I said before, I go home and my wife says 3 things. You can say 3 things about beer. After that, shut up. So I try to talk about beer all day long.
Right.
So when I go home, I'm spent.
Yeah.
But But yeah, I mean, the one car garage, we pretty much converted it into a brewery. I brewed 3 batches in the house, and my wife said this smells. So I moved out to the garage, and the garage was pretty much a unlicensed brewery that we were just home brewing a bunch and figuring out recipes before we decide to make it a living.
Yeah. And so are you distributing it at that point? Like, what are you doing with the beer that you're brewing?
At that point, at the early days, we were doing some beer festivals and tasting events. In Pennsylvania, you can only make up to 200 gallons, without a license as a home brewer. And we, kind of pushed limits before we opened. We were pretty close because we were doing a bunch of tasting events, a bunch of beer festivals, just trying to get our name out there. So like when we opened, it was amazing to see the support. We have a capacity of 320 people in Bethlehem, and we had for the first 3 weeks before COVID, because we opened Valentine's Day, 2020, 3 weeks before the pandemic. We put our houses up for collateral, and everything, it was all in. But we were at capacity for like 3 weeks with a line out the door. And that's what really helped us, because we didn't get a bunch of like PPE loans and stuff like that because we weren't open long enough. I mean, we figured it out, kept us on our toes.
Let's dive into that a little bit. You are open for 3 weeks and things are going great. You guys are crushing it, everything you had hoped and dreamed for. And then, the pandemic hits. How do you guys stay afloat? And like, what's the feeling in you at that moment?
So many emotions all at the same time. Like it was hard to, even like, there was a lot of times where it was scary because we put our houses up for collateral. Myself and my partner, pulled out retirement funds and literally, clean savings accounts and all in. And when we pretty much found out nobody's coming to save us, like we had to figure it out. And then during COVID, like all the different regulations that changed throughout, I miss some of those days because it did keep us on our toes and, keep us actively thinking. And we were very flexible of changing processes and procedures and all that. And I remember my wife saying multiple times, like, "What are you doing today?" And I was like, "I don't know. We're going into work and we're going to figure it out." Because we didn't have a kitchen, so like we wanted to fully focus on our beer. We didn't want to, every place that we went to, back in those days, if they had kitchens and they also made beer, it was like, okay food, okay beer, or really great food, crappy beer. And we just wanted to put full focus in beer. So our plan was rotating food trucks. And Bethlehem is somewhat hard to deal with food trucks because of all the permits and stuff like that. But yeah.
So you were in your garage. When does Jordan get involved? When do you guys kind of go in and say, we're going to make a real run of this?
So I'll try to make the long story short. I was homebrewing for years and, doing my family business. I was really into craft beer, then got into brewing. And then I was doing a competition for Sam Adams, where there was different levels. And, before you could even submit your beer to like get to the next level, you had to have people vote for you. And like, you had to create this profile. And it was a pretty complex competition. They do it all the time. I believe it's once a year. It's been years since, I can't enter anymore because I brew professionally.
Right.
But I made it up to the top 5 nationwide.
Wow.
But one of the parts of the competition, you had to like get out and get your name out there and get people to vote for you. Seven Sirens was started for about 6 months. Like the name was created, the organization was created between Jordan and a previous partner. And he had some really big dreams, and his partner, made good beer, but his dreams, like he just didn't want to go as big as Jordan did.
Yeah.
So, and Jordan, he was in the Navy for 6 years. That's where the name Seven Sirens comes from, because sirens sing to sailors and lure them to their death. And we say they're sexy and luring, like our beer. The plan was to have 7 flagships, and we don't decide those flagships. The customers do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great beers that I would love to brew, and sometimes I'm brewing what keeps the lights on. Luckily, there are some beers that I do really enjoy that keeps the lights on.
Yeah.
But when I was getting my name out there, he was trying to get Seven Sirens' name out there, and we kept coming across each other. And we sat down the one day because I said, hey, I want to get into the industry. Like, I see that you're, opening a brewery. If I can help at any point, like, just figure stuff out, pour beer at Beer Fest. And he came to me and was like, my partner, he brews the beer, but he's not interested in doing it at this level. Do you want to brew beer for Seven Sirens? Do you want to be a partner? Where do you see yourself? And he was like, I'm putting my house up for collateral, and I don't know how. Well, I do kind of. So a week later, I was like, I'm in. I'll become a partner, and I'll put my house up for collateral. And I look back, and I was like, I said to my wife the one day, I was like, wow. Why? How? How did you agree to this?
Yeah.
And she's like, you're stubborn. You were going to do this with me or without me. So she would, supported me 100% from the start.
It's great. I feel like in order to be successful in business, you need to have that support at home, or it's not going to work.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And she's great support. She's a saint, and she doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah.
So I try to give her credit when I can.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So are you like a kid in a chocolate factory? Like, I picture you're going from your garage, and now you're entering Seven Sirens, and you've got, would you say 7,000 square foot of space?
Yeah.
Like, what is that transition like for you?
It was huge. About 5,000 square foot is tasting room. So I had about, 1,500 to 2,000 square foot, including the cold room.
Yeah.
To put all my new shiny toys. That's another story in itself, because we paid for full. And the brewing equipment was supposed to be turned around in 2 months. 14 months later, it finally showed up.
Oh,
whoa.
Yeah.
What are you doing then? How are you bridging that gap?
Yeah. So we had to do a bunch of contract brews and collaborations. At the time, Weyerbacher had some empty tanks, so we were brewing at Weyerbacher. I was running down to Philly with Second Story, doing collaborations with them. 10-7, Tattered Flag, Blueprint. And my wife's like, your schedule's absolutely nuts. And I was like, it is until we figure things out.
Right.
Because I was, trying to run a business, but also brewing, and I didn't have the equipment, to do it. So we had to figure out how to get beer. That was another emotion. When we opened, we were blowing through more beer than we planned for.
Right.
So COVID was kind of a blessing, where it slowed us down a little bit to catch up, because we would have ran out of beer.
Right.
We thought we were stocked for 3 months. We were good for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good problem to have, but also a problem to have.
Correct.
Yeah.
Generally there's always problems. The goal is to just figure it out.
Yeah. So how's the partnership? I mean, I'm assuming you guys are pretty good at figuring out how the best approach is to these problems.
Yeah. I mean, we both don't sleep. So sometimes, we could figure out the problems during the day. Sometimes it's, in the middle of the night. Sometimes, it's at the end of the day, we figure the problems out.
Yep.
If I need help with, he's more front of house, I'm more back of house. If I need extra input or extra help with something, I can go to him. If he needs input on a front of house thing, same thing.
Yeah.
I'd rather just focus on beer and business and,
that works out.
It's just,
you need a yin to your yang, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about the beer then. This is your favorite part. This is where you come in. You did bring a 4-pack, but talk to me about, what makes Seven Sirens beer different than other beers.
Okay. So when we first started, Orange Skies was our first batch that we actually served through our system.
Okay.
So when you first start, brewing on a system, you have to figure out certain numbers, your efficiency and all that, to dial in your recipes. And, the first couple batches, this was the 4th batch that we've ever done through our system. The first couple batches, you generally throw it on the drain because they generally don't work.
Right. Yeah.
Orange Skies, I absolutely hated that beer. It was my least favorite.
Taste wise or
everything about it.
Okay.
Everything about it.
Yeah,
it was, there was nothing, the beer tasted good. But when we first did it, it came out 8.3. It was punch you in the face with flavor.
Yeah.
And a Belgian wit's just not supposed to be like that.
Right.
And I was like, this is horrible. I want to dump it down the drain. Jordan's like, I think it's good. I think we should serve it. And it's actually my wife's favorite beer that we have. And for years, I've hated it because it was nothing what I wanted it to be from the start. And it became our number 1 seller overnight. Wow. Like we were going through 1 to 2 kegs of it a day.
Wow.
And Jordan's like, I guess we're brewing that again. So we consistently, it just, over the years, it's been number 1 until Lighthouse came out. Lighthouse, our American lager. We've tweaked Orange Skies over the years, so I do enjoy it now.
Okay.
I can finally say that I can enjoy it. The bartenders would laugh when I'm actually drinking an Orange Skies because they know how much I hated it years ago.
But being head brewer, you can make some changes.
Yes. The goal is to, tweak stuff so it's not big changes.
Yep.
A lot of breweries do that. And it's just, you want to make small tweaks. So especially like for flagship stuff that people like, you don't want to just completely change it overnight.
Yeah.
You can work out recipes and make them more efficient or, change the ABV or, the bittering or different ingredients. You can change them, but especially for flagships, you want to make small changes over time unless it's something went wrong.
Yeah.
And then Lighthouse came out a few years ago. That was our number 1 seller since that came out. That took over Orange Skies. Orange Skies went to number 2. Lighthouse kind of had a name before we even brewed it because people would come in and be like, what's your Lighthouse beer?
Oh, look at that.
What's your house beer that's light?
Who names the beers? Do you get to do that? Is it a group thing?
Sometimes it's a group thing.
Okay.
I generally make the final call on it. If we're trying to make it a flagship, like I said, the customer decides on flagship. So, we don't get to just pick certain beers and be like, we're going to brew that all the time.
Right.
It's got to sell. There's a lot of great beers that are underrated that, we end up, stop brewing or.
Does that hurt you personally?
At one point it did.
Yeah.
You kind of get over it after a while. There is a lot of fun projects and new beers that, bring excitement. So it's just like, okay, that sucks. That one's going away, but hopefully another one will come back.
Yeah.
Sometimes we bring beers back after a while. If we get enough people that, are asking for it, Sometimes we just give beers a break, so it's not overdone. We've had some beers where, we've just given them a break and then brought them back, and people, like, I want to say 2 months ago, I think, we released 2 beers that we did 5 years ago at Weyerbacher.
Oh, wow.
And people loved them.
Yeah.
Some of the batches that we did at Weyerbacher when we first started are flagships that we continue to do today.
That's pretty cool.
That was really cool, because when we had to do the contract brewing at Weyerbacher, we had to put it on a personal credit card because the bank said that's not in your business plan.
Oh my gosh.
And your SBA loan's not paying for that.
Yeah.
So we had to put it on a personal credit card, and I scaled up a recipe from 5 gallons to 40 barrels.
Wow.
And hoped and prayed, and it worked out. But there was a lot of sleepless nights over that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So tell me about Seven Sirens inside. It's, you guys have done a great job there, but what makes the drinking experience different there than it might be from another brewery?
We try to focus on the ambiance there. So, it's not just drinking beer in a parking garage.
Right.
When we first
Which
started.
I'm not opposed to, but it's not the top choice.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot better than when we took over the spot, because when we took over the spot, there was a little bit of electric and no doors or windows.
Yeah.
So now we have doors, windows, utilities, HVAC.
Yeah.
But we added lighting, whether it's stage lighting, just ambiance throughout. Certain times of the night, we dim down the lights to change the ambiance. We have games to keep people entertained. We just put in what was it? We have a claw machine that the kids love. And then what was it? One of those punching games. We just put that in.
Okay.
I got wiped off the top 10 list real fast. My older kid loves that. So,
I bet. Yeah. Do the kids spend a lot of time there? Is it a family thing at this point?
My kids grew up in breweries.
Yeah.
So I love seeing the fights on Facebook of kids shouldn't be allowed at bars and breweries and all that stuff, because my kids grew up in breweries and they behave better in breweries than they do anywhere else.
Yeah.
Especially at home. But there's many times where they've helped me at the brewery. My younger one, he's 9, and Jack will be like, "Hey Dad, I want to go on shift. Can you, can I squeegee the floors? What else can I do?
Yeah.
Can I wipe down the tables?" My older one, when I was taking him to school in the mornings, on brew days, we would stop at the brewery before I drop him off at school. He would help me mash in and get the beer started, just so my day was a little bit shorter, because the clock doesn't start for brew days until you start the beer.
Yeah.
And it's, for us with our, gas pressure and stuff like that, it's an 11-hour day for brew day. So he's like, "Dad," there's mornings where he's like, "Dad, I don't want to brew beer." And I'm like, "Dude, you're going to love these stories in high school."
Yes.
Telling all your friends that you made beer.
Yeah.
When you were younger. So
that's awesome. And so the family is in the business. Something else that I think is really unique, interesting. I don't know if it's breweries in general or the Lehigh Valley, but there's a family feel among the breweries, a camaraderie. Where does that come from?
So I came from landscaping, my previous, before brewing. So landscaping is very cutthroat. And when you go into the beer industry, it's crazy, because it's complete opposite.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all trying to sell beers to customers and stuff like that, but each one of us we have our own demographics. So there's times where I would love to brew more traditional beers, but that's not my demographic.
Yeah.
Georgie's over in Emmaus, like their demographic is more traditional beers. Funk, they do, a lot of well done IPAs and, and shanties. So when we want to do different beers, like we'll talk to each other and be like, hey, how'd you do this? What yeast did you use? Or, kind of, I mean, there's times where like on a brew day, you've overlooked something and you're short, a product.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I need rice hulls. Send out a message. Who's got rice hulls?
Yeah.
And, there's 27 or 28 breweries in the Lehigh Valley. 24 of them are in the guild. So like we have a guild that we're, constantly talking, back and forth between different projects that we're working on together and sharing ideas and stuff like that. Which this past January, I just became the president of the Lehigh Valley Brewers Guild.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Because I had not enough stuff to do. But yeah.
That's awesome. Insurance is not that way. We have not made tons of friends, but I'm of a similar mindset where, we're all in this together. I'm not trying to steal from you. Like we, a rising tide lifts all boats. And it's really cool to see that in the brewery world.
Yeah.
Very cool. Are you from the Lehigh Valley originally?
So the house I live in down the street from here, I've been there since 4th grade.
Wow.
So I went to school at Salisbury. I met my wife at Salisbury.
Wow.
We were high school sweethearts.
Yep.
And she went off to college. I stayed at the family business. And but yeah, I grew up in the Lehigh Valley. And my kids go to Salisbury now.
Yeah.
So
that's very cool. What makes the Lehigh Valley unique or special? Like what has kept you here over all these years?
I don't know. There's, I don't know. I mean, it's a great spot. Like the Lehigh Valley has a bunch of different little things. Yes, Allentown, there's fun stuff like Dorney Park and, stuff like that. And then you go to Bethlehem, it's a completely different vibe, but it's 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
Same thing with Easton. Like Easton, if you like food, if you're a foodie, go to Easton.
Yes.
Like they have great food.
You can ask Emily. I do like food. Yes.
Bethlehem, I mean, they have great food as well. I feel like between Bethlehem and Easton, and not to take away from any place in Allentown, because there's some great places here too. But also the nightlife changes in those areas. There's just a lot of diversity.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I enjoy. And we have 23 taps in Bethlehem. Our goal is, to have a diverse, lineup. Our goal is not to hit your palate 23 times.
Right.
2 times would be nice, but we can have a bunch of different stuff, and hopefully you like 2 different beers on our draft list.
I love that.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
All right. So season 4, we are sponsored by the Swiftwater up in the Poconos. It's a beautiful hotel, brand new. They do all these incredible amenities. It's the best vacation you can take in the Poconos. So Josh, what was the best vacation you ever took?
I forget what year it was. We went to Rehoboth.
Are we going back to
Dogfish
Head?
We're going back to Dogfish. Let's see. My youngest is 9. I think it was about 10 years ago. We went to Rehoboth. My older one, he was probably 2 years old.
Yeah.
He was strapped to my chest. We did a tour through Dogfish.
Nice.
And he was the only kid probably in the brewery strapped to my chest during the tour.
Yeah.
And around that time was when I was really big into beer before owning a brewery. So, I mean, it was, eyes wide open, just looking at stuff like, oh, that's cool. Look at those shiny toys. Like a kid in a chocolate factory or a candy store. And then I want to say 2 years ago, we went back to Rehoboth and kind of recreated some of the pictures with ice cream on the boardwalk and stuff like that. and like we joke that that's where Jack came from. Rehoboth. You know, you go off the timing of when he was born.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Rehoboth is probably my all-time favorite, place to go. I grew up going to Virginia Beach with my family. We had a timeshare. We spent a lot of hours on the beach where I hate sand, but I enjoy Rehoboth sand.
Yeah.
Just not my sandwich.
Well, Josh, is there anything that we didn't hit that you want to talk about? Anything Seven Sirens is doing that we should have talked about?
We just got rid of a shuffleboard table. We got some new stuff coming.
Okay.
We got a bunch of open room for more stuff for an experience.
Yeah.
I don't want to give away.
I was going to say, did you just tease that?
I just teased that. Yeah, we're changing some stuff up. I think, we already have it out there that we are partnering with somebody for food that used to be, so Metro PCS used to be next to us.
Yeah.
And we have a partner going in and putting a kitchen in.
Wow.
So we're going to be their dining hall pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be at your table, you can order your food and they'll bring it right over.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on procedures and stuff like that where we might do some table service. It's not definite yet, but there's going to be some new changes coming with Seven Sirens.
That's exciting though,
Bethlehem
right?
Spot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm excited for consistent food. I mean, we have food trucks. There's a lot of great food trucks. And, it's a struggle sometimes, just having consistent food.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to partner up with somebody where we can, do more pairings and stuff like that, because beer dinner pairings, why make it a ticket event when you can make it an everyday thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah, I'm excited to have food right next door and, not have to pack my lunch.
All right. I have to ask though, do you have a favorite beer? Both yours and then just in general?
That's a hard question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
That's what we do here. Hard questions only.
As far as our beers, my favorite is Lighthouse.
Okay.
Lighthouse, because it's just a beer flavored beer. It's just simple. It's 4.2 ABV. So I really enjoy, when I'm networking and talking with people to have a beer in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And with Lighthouse being 4.2, you can have multiple beers. And you're not getting wasted.
Yeah.
I
that's the secret.
Yeah.
I always end up wasted at these events.
Yeah, you got to stay away from the high ABV stouts. But out of ours, Lighthouse is my favorite. Not only for the beer, yes, it's nautical. It's our Lighthouse beer. Like I said, it was named before we even, brewed it.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandfather that passed away years ago, he collected lighthouses.
Okay.
And loved lighthouses. So when we came out with that, my grandmother was like, "Your grandfather?" I was like, "I know."
Wow.
I was like, so it was kind of, an honor for him as well.
Yeah.
And I actually have a lighthouse tattooed on me, for that as well. It's my favorite beer for ours.
Yeah.
As far as a favorite beer, that's not ours.
You don't have to plug anyone if you don't want to.
No, honestly, like I said, that's a hard question because I generally have multiple favorites. It just depends on what I'm doing, where I'm at, who I'm with.
Yeah.
So if I'm on a picnic, it's going to be a different beer than if I'm having a shower beer.
Yes.
Because shower beers are awesome as well.
They are.
But probably Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an easy drinker.
Yep.
And you can have multiple of those as well.
Yeah. You're right.
So.
And then last but not least, I would be remiss if I didn't ask, what's the secret to a good beard? I grew a beard recently and my staff knew it was not a good beard. How do we get that going?
You just have to have a fear for razors.
Okay.
Now I stopped shaving when my oldest was a week old. I didn't have time for it.
Yeah.
It was either shave or not be able to change diapers. So I pretty much stopped shaving then. And once you get past the itchy stage,
Yeah.
You're
Never
golden.
looked back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dog definitely likes if you leave some snacks in there. And it's like having a natural bib.
Yeah.
So
it's good.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, I can't say thank you enough. This was great. The things that you guys are doing at Seven Sirens are awesome. And I thank you so much for coming here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the YMI Talking Podcast. If you enjoyed this and want to hear more content from amazing personalities in the Valley, please subscribe, leave a rating, and drop us a quick review.